And this tension must lead to very intensive Entladung. Discharge, yeah. There's some kind of charge and tension, and it must lead to very dramatic discharge. If it's not reduced, the tension not reduced on the way to this, or if the deeper root is not changed fundamentally. At the moment, this is unclear what kind of discharges it may be. But there must be some discharges, dramatic discharges. So I want to continue this view. Over the 15 years, it would be better that it's the same axis, but we can imagine, okay, this is a little bit condensed, and this x is stretched. And now I took, no, at first I have to add another aspect into the first graph, before I come to this. Because this debt here is connected and leads to a growing interest burden for the debitors. Whatever or whoever the debitors may be. It leads to a growing interest burden. Interest burden. Interest burden. So one can say, what's the problem? Those who take credit, they can, for example, invest the money, investment, they can produce more goods and services, they can sell, then they have a sales income, and from this they can repay the credit, and they can pay the interest burden. This is correct for individual debitors. Some of them, they may manage it, and they may be successful, and they may even, in the effect, have some kind of profit out of it, even after paying the interest burden. But if one thinks in the total context of a national or even world society and economy and financial system, this would mean, on the average, the debitors have to pay more and more interest burden. And here it seems to be very small compared with this amount. This is because this amount is an accumulation over several decades, and this amount is what is to be paid each year. And in comparison, this seems to be not so much. But per year it has to be paid, and it has to come from anywhere. So to emphasize this development, I put it now in this graph and show it a little bit more with a stretched axis here. So these are the interest burdens on a whole economy. Debitors as the companies or corporations, debitors, private households, debitors as the state. Well, if the debitors manage to produce and to sell, the companies for example, enough, then it may be possible without problems, without big problems, to pay this interest burden. This is only very rough in tendency here in this graph. This should be the national product of one nation, of one country, or in the whole, it would be the product, the social product of the world economic system. This should grow similar as the interest burden grow, within so-called exponential growth. Wow, we know a lot of people and experts who say we need growth, economic growth. It's everywhere around the world. The solution, the means of solution of problems is economic growth and more economic growth. Yeah, this is possible for some period in Germany, in Western Germany specifically, after World War II, starting early 15th or short before. There were really periods which were called the miracle, economic miracle, das Wirtschaftswunder, with growth rates quite amazingly. But these were very specific aspects and specific reasons. After a war, there's a big lot to be rebuilt, and there's a big need for more consume, and so on. But even in this, with the background of this Wirtschaftswunder, this economic miracle, it didn't last infinitely. At the end of the 60s, we had in Western Germany the first recession, economic recession. So it didn't grow anymore. Well, then they developed some specific kind of economic policy, which is called Keynesianism, some stimulus, with money which is brought by the state into the economic circulation. And then, whoa, it really worked. And everybody thought, now we have the means to fight against such recession and economic crisis, and in future to avoid it, to prevent it. But as we all know, this was an illusion. Obviously, it was an illusion. It is similar to stimulus for a very depressed person, who now goes to a doctor, and the doctor, there were some doctors, they say you are totally sane, healthy, I can't find anything, you are healthy. But the person suffered. And so there were also economic theories and schools of economic theories who long time, the so-called classical and neoclassical economics, they told a market economy cannot get into deep crisis. It is healthy by its fundament. But then there came a big crisis. If then for the individual depressed person the stimulus is given, it works for some time, but after a while he falls back into depression. And then the next stimulus is not the same result. It is less usually. Wow, no problem, we take 2 of these. What I show with this example is there's a tendency to addiction. The patient becomes addicted from this kind of stimulus. And this is a problem on the long run, because it produces more and more so-called Nebenwirkungen in German.
Side effects.
Side effects, yes. But the side effects will become more and more severe and serious. And this is not really a solution. And the side effects of Keynesianism